Toxic control rarely announces itself with a bang. We imagine screaming matches, massive betrayals, and warning signs so obvious they demand a response. Those who seek power over you assemble it slowly, through tiny, invisible gaps, the way water finds its way into a foundation, one drop at a time, in places you weren't watching. It starts with a joke that has a weird edge to it, a plan changed at the last minute without your input, a small favor framed as a non-event. You let it go because objecting feels like an overreaction. Letting it slide is simply easier than making a scene over a minor inconvenience. But why would someone who wants real power over you bother with something that insignificant? Because that small infraction is a calibrated test. You're being graded, and your silence provides the exact data needed to build the cage. Before the testing begins, there is a flood. You experience an intense rush of affection, mirroring, and attention that makes you feel fully seen. Underneath that rush is a biological event, a concentrated dose of the brain's reward chemicals. The speed of this neurological chemical drop outpaces your judgment and critical thinking. This affection functions as a tactical distraction. It lowers your early warning defenses so that the initial boundary tests go entirely unnoticed. Psychologists have a name for the shift that happens once you let that first small thing slide. They call it the foot in the door technique. In a well-known study, researchers called people to ask for a massive favor. One group was approached cold. A second group was softened up days earlier with a tiny, weightless request. Only 4% of the cold group agreed to the big favor. But among those who said yes to the first tiny request, compliance jumped to 31%. The drive behind this data spike is the brain's need to stay consistent. Once you say yes to the small thing, your mind rewrites your identity to justify it. You become the person who helps. Turning back now would mean admitting the first step was a mistake, which feels psychologically painful. The manipulator's second request exploits your natural drive for consistency. They are weaponizing your own brain against itself. Consider how this looks in practice. A woman named Maya has a partner who casually starts reading her texts over her shoulder. Maya pushes back gently, trying to re-establish her privacy. Her partner immediately looks wounded. He tells her he didn't realize trust was such a problem for her. This is a precise maneuver called the reframe. It forcefully shifts the spotlight from his behavior onto her character. Suddenly, she is the one defending herself. As Maya reassures him, he logs the data. He notes whether guilt works, how quickly she backs down, and if her distress can be overridden by his own. This exchange functions as a data collection protocol. The goal is to map the exact emotional cost required to make the victim surrender a boundary. After the data is logged, the climb begins. Control escalates one small, deniable notch at a time. This gradual escalation normalizes the behavior. Eventually, you find yourself paying a quiet price in your daily life just to avoid the friction of a conflict. We tend to focus on the eventually explosive betrayal as the moment of danger, but that explosion is often irrelevant. The outcome was decided dozens of small tests ago, in all the quiet places where you chose peace over a fight. We often treat a boundary as a punishment to be handed out only after we've been hurt enough times. A boundary is actually a tool of early information. It tells the other person that your comfort is not free. Delivering a calm, unbothered no to the very first test ends the experiment before the data can be gathered. Missing these invisible first tests is not a sign of low intelligence. It is a vulnerability built into natural human generosity, the very quality the system feeds on. Recognizing the first probe and refusing to provide the expected data removes the path of least resistance. You dismantle the architecture of control before the first rung is even built.